Hey everyone, Mr. Fransky here. We're going to be talking about just some practice problems with parabolas today. It's kind of warm up into 8.2, which is really about ellipses, but we're going to just do kind of a bell work warm up with some parabolas here. So students will be able to graph conic parabolas given an equation and or information and vice versa. So directrix, focus, parabola, vertex, focal length, focal width, completing the square, all stuff we've been working on. Just some practice problems here. Let's see what we get. All right. So first one, we have, for each parabola, what I'd like you to do is graph and find the missing information. So what's the equation of the directrix, the coordinates of the focus, the focal width, all this kind of stuff. This is stuff we've been working on. So if you want to try these on your own, feel free to do so, and then you can come back to the video, or you could just watch the ones that you feel like you need the most practice on. And at the end, I'm going to do some completing the square just for good measure. So if you want to give it a shot, go for it, and then we'll try them. All right, so hopefully we're able to try at least a few of these. Let's see what we get. So the first one, we got y equals negative 8x. Y squared equals negative 8x. This is going to have a vertex at the origin, 0, 0, because it's not like an x minus or a y minus or y plus or x minus plus here. Our c value is negative 2 because it's negative 8 divided by 4. Remember, this is 4c always, so that's negative 2. And this is going to open either left or right. And because c is negative, I think it's going to open to the left. So let's kind of get a graph here. So vertex is 0, 0. C is negative 2 right there. Okay, so that's our focus. And that means our directrix will be at positive 2. So our directrix is x equals positive 2. Our focus is at negative 2, 0. So we open to the left. So it looks something like this. There we go. So what do we need? Well, we've got our c value. That's our focal length. And remember the focal width. The focal width is always just 4c, so we can just get that from the beginning here, right? So 4c is negative 8, and so remember focal width is always a positive number, so that's going to be 8. And really that's everything that we need, right? That's all the info that we're asked for. All right, so let's see what's next. X plus 1 squared equals 16 times y minus 3. All right, so it looks like our vertex here is going to be at negative 1, positive 3. Remember, the x part is always with the x, the y part's always with the y. Our c value this time looks like it's positive 4, so it looks like it's going to open upwards. It's x part squared, so it's either up or down, and the c is positive, so it's going to open upwards. So let's get our vertex, negative 1, 3. So we're going to kind of be living in the second quadrant here. So negative 1 and then up to 1, 2, 3. There's our vertex. Our c value is 4. Positive 4 is going to move us up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right about there. Okay, so now I'm just going to count to figure out where these are. Vertex is negative 1, 3, so the focus is at negative 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the focus is at negative 1, 7, right? 4 higher than the 3 there. So our directrix is going to be down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there. Okay, so that's y equals negative 1. That's our directrix. And now we're just going to sketch in our parabola. It's going to be a wider one because we have a pretty big c value. So then our focal width, the focal width across the chord of the parabola that includes the focus, that should have a length of 16. And I believe that's all we're asked for. Cool. All right, the parabola with focus negative 3, 5 and directrix x equals negative 9. All right, so we have to go all the way to negative 9 with x, and we got to go to negative 3, 5. So once again, we're kind of living in the second quadrant. So something like this maybe. So we got to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's our directrix. X equals negative 9. So it looks like we're either opening right or left. And it's our directrix. And then negative 1, 2, 3, and we go up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. That is our focus. So where's the vertex? Well, the vertex should be halfway in between, right? So again, this is one thing where I would just draw it, and you can see. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So between 3 and 9, that's 6. So it should be 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3, right there. So it looks like our vertex is at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Right? That makes sense. Negative 6 is halfway in between negative 3 and negative 9. So we open to the right. Something like this. There's our parabola. So we have the directrix, we have the focus, they give us those. The focal width, we're going to figure out after we figure out c. It looks like our c value is going to be positive because it goes to the right, positive 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have the y part's going to be squared. So we're going to have y minus 5 squared equal to 4 times 3 is 12, right? So that's 4c. 4 times c is 4c is 12. And that's multiplied by let's see, it's going to be x plus 3. And there's our equation. Okay, so finding the equation with using information, always draw a picture. Definitely draw a picture. It's going to help you out a lot. All right, let's see what's next. Parabola with focus 0, 4 that opens downward with 2, 4 on the parabola. Okay, interesting. So we have 0, 4 opens downward and 2, 4 is on the parabola. So 0, 4, that's right on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our focus. And they tell us 2, 4 is on the parabola. So let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. They tell us this point's on the parabola. Now, at first this might seem hard, but that's actually not too bad. It tells us it opens downward, so we're going downward something like this. So I'm just going to kind of draw that in. Let's go through that point. Now, we know something about this, right? The focal width goes right across the focus, right? Across the focus and across the parabola like that. We know that length is always 4c. Well, that means that over here, 1, 2, this is 2c, and 2c is 2. So if 2c is equal to 2, then c must be equal to 1. So 4c all the way across there is 4. So this point right over here is negative 2, 4. I have no idea how you would do this without drawing a picture. Okay, so focal width is 4c. That means that c is 1. And we're open downward, so the x part will be squared, and the c will actually be a negative 1 because it's going downwards. So that means that this point right here, the vertex, must be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 5. Just 1 point above the focus. Okay, so I got my vertex, 0, 5. And then the directrix would be 1 higher. The directrix would be at y equals 6. So let's see if we can put this together. It's going to be x squared, nothing with the x because we're not left or right at all, equal to 4c, that's negative 4, times, let's see, it'd be y minus 5. There's our equation. We have everything else here. Focal width is 4, directrix is at y equals 6, vertex is at 0, 5. I think that's everything we're asked for. Cool. All right, so this time we have a completing the square situation. So we have the parabola with the equation y squared minus 4x minus 6y plus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to gather all my y's on one side and all my x's on the other. So let's do y squared minus 6y. I'm going to leave a blank here because we'll be completing the square. Equal to positive 4x, right, because we're adding it, and then minus 5. Looks like to complete the square here, I got to divide that negative 6 by 2 and square it. That's negative 3 squared, which is 9. So we add 9 to both sides. So now we have y minus 3 squared equal to, this looks like it'd be 4x plus 4, right? So we can factor out a 4 from that, and we're left with x plus 1. So there's our equation. Let's go have a sketch of that. So our vertex is going to be at negative 1, 3. I'm sure no one out there said it was at 3, negative 1, right? Because the x part's with the x and the y part's with the y. And then our c value, our c is just 1, right? Because this is 4c. And it opens, it's an up-down. It's either up or down, left or right because the y part's squared. C is 1, so it opens to the right. Okay, so let's get this. Vertex, negative 1, 3. Apparently like everything in the second quadrant today. 1, 2, 3. Right there. Okay, so that's our vertex. C is 1, it opens to the right, so that's actually right on the axis there. And our directrix then will be at x equals negative 2. So we open to the right, it's going to be a skinny parabola because that c value is so small. And I think that's all we really need, right? The focus is at 0, 4. 0, 3. Because the vertex is over here at negative 1, 3, and c is 1. The directrix is at x equals negative 2. Focal width, I guess, would be 4. Yep, that's everything we really need. So if you have trouble with completing the square, I've got a few extra problems here for you. Let's see if we can do them together. So the first one, x squared minus 10x, that's a negative 5 squared, right? Because we want to divide by 2 and square, so that's going to be a plus 25. The next one, if we have 1 here, so 1 divided by 2 is 1/2 squared. It's going to be a 1/4. Let's factor these two. This would be x minus 5 squared. This would be x minus 1/2, or plus, excuse me, 1/2 squared, right? Notice right here, it's just whatever you get when you do that division. Here's the minus 5, here's the 1/2. Last one's a little bit trickier. We pull out a 9, we're left with x squared plus 30/9 x plus something. 30/9 I can reduce. Divide them both by 3. So that's going to be 9 times x squared plus 10 thirds. plus something. Now that 10 thirds I have to divide by 2. 10 thirds divided by 2 is the same as 10 thirds times 1/2. 10 over 2 is 5. That's 5 thirds. So 5 thirds, I have to take that in square, right? Because I'm going to take this in square, so that's the same as taking this in square. That's 25 ninths. I love this. Bring the 9 back in. You have 9x squared plus 30x plus 25. If we factor that, I think it's going to be 3x plus 5 squared. Double check the middle terms work out. You'd have 15x and another 15x. That makes 30. Cool. All right, I believe that's all I've got for you for parabola warm-up here. So I'll see you in the next video to talk about ellipses. Love you guys. Have a great day.